Jay Gruden will join us every single Monday all season long at 5 p.m., and he's on the Rude Guest Hotline.
On air and on the road, Jay Gruden is driven by the Ted Britt Automotive Group, Ted Britt Ford in Chantilly and Fairfax, your F-150 HQ, Ted Britt Lincoln in Chantilly, and Ted Britt Chevrolet in Sterling, all home to Ted Britt for life, lifetime vehicle coverage. See and shop them all at tedbritt.com.
So, Jay, let's start with the news of the day. A sprained knee for Jayden Daniels. Status for Sunday against the Raiders in doubt. When you hear sprained knee for a quarterback who's a dual threat and runs around, what do you think?
Any injury for Jayden Daniels is concerning, without a doubt. You know, he's what makes that team tick, and without him, it's going to be a struggle. But hopefully, sprained knees are not anything serious. Hopefully, it's a week or two, or maybe he can play and deal with it. But I don't know the severity of it. Nobody really does with a strained knee. It's hard for me to imagine the time frame. Well, he'll be back to 100% and what he needs to do to be great on the field.
Jay, what factors would go into your decision-making as to when to play him?
I guess you got to see him run. You know what I mean? You got to see him burst off that leg, and I got to make sure that's 100%. I don't want to risk further damage. If the trainer says he can go and there's no risk of further damage, obviously there's always a risk. But you know what I'm saying? If he gets tackled, and then I'd let him play. But I'm not letting him play until he's back to 100%. I can see him running that 4.3 40 that he can run.
So he came up lame, so to speak, on a couple different plays. He grabs at his knee after he kind of landed on his head, getting turned upside down, like cleat overhead at the 30-yard line. And then there was another play later in the game, but he finished. I know a lot of people have talked about that he stayed out there and he finished. And I've just always said that's not that indicative of like timelines and how serious something is, because you got the adrenaline and the swelling hasn't happened yet and all that. What's your experience on that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can get through a game a lot of times, and then when you have that next day where you wake up, get out of bed, you can hardly walk. I've had that with my shoulders before. I've had that with my knees before, and it's pretty painful. It's just a matter of he's got the extra couple days, which is good, to get a lot of treatment. He's got to be in and out of that hot tub and getting his massages and what he needs to have done to try to get that thing ready. I don't think there's 100% chance that he's out, but I think that if he can manage it and he can still run, I think he can still play with a sprained knee.
What level of nervousness would you operate with, or just how cautious would you be as it pertains to two things? One, the fact that he is a running quarterback, that's part of the superpower, right? He was a 900-yard guy or 800-yard guy as a rookie, that he had 70 rushing yards in his first game. And then secondly, just the fact that it's week 3 of this 17-game, 18-week marathon. Like, would you just say, hey, come on, man, give us 1 week here, let's rest up, it's just one game and we'll get you back out there? Or if he was a pocket passer, do you view it any differently? Because he's not taking the same shots and running around as much. How do you kind of balance all that?
Yeah, with the protection the way it is right now, he is taking the shots in the pocket. That's the issue that I have. And the lack of running game is apparent right now, where they're becoming one-dimensional. Now, if they're going to hand the ball off and do some quick game and keep him in the pocket, get the ball out of his hands, then, yeah, I think he can go ahead and play. And I would eliminate the quarterback design runs. Let him scramble up the middle here and there and slide for a couple of yards for maybe a first down. Sure, I think he can do that, but they have to really figure out a way to get this running game going for him to play again, so he can take some pressure off of him, where it's not the quarterback design run, it's not the scramble, it's not to keep him the plays alive, where he can throw some balls on rhythm, hand the ball off, get some play actions, get him outside the pocket a little bit, then he can function. But he can't function if they played like they played against Green Bay, or one-dimensional, having to throw within the pocket all the time.
Yeah, and Jay Gruden with us here on G&E. What did you make of that game? We haven't talked to you since then. Just about that. How much of that is Green Bay's great defense, great plan, great execution, et cetera, and how much is maybe what Washington's not doing?
Yeah, I think Green Bay's got a good defense. They shut down Detroit, and they played great against Washington. You saw what Detroit did against Chicago this week. They scored 52. So I think a lot of credit has to go to Green Bay. And then, there's just a lot of concerns with the offensive line that I have right now. But I don't think they're gelling right now. I don't think the left guard, left tackle play well together. The right tackle's struggling mightily. Conerly's he's not ready. I mean, they need to help him out a lot. So, yeah, I have concerns with the offensive line. Getting holes for the running game, that's not happening. Protecting the quarterback, that's not happening. So they got some issues to figure out up front. They got to get gelling together and play a little more physical.
You said Conerly's not ready in your mind. Do you still like him as a prospect, and how would you handle that spot?
Any big guys that can move their feet like he can is a good prospect to have. It's just a matter if he switched from left tackle to right tackle, and that takes some time. He's just not a real physical guy right now. He's got to play more with his legs, and we use some power every now and then. He's catching everybody, and they're pushing him back a lot, and he's not getting any movement in the running game. So he's got a lot of work to do. I mean, he's a good prospect for sure, but I just don't know if he's ready to be thrown in the fire against these players. He's playing against Micah Parsons. He's playing, next week will be, who's it going to be next week? They play the
Maxx
Raiders.
Crosby.
Yeah, it's got no chance. So need some help. I don't know what to do, what the answer is, but he is a good prospect. He's just not playing very good up to his potential right now. He's a rookie, for God's sakes.
Would you consider starting Andrew Wiley over him against Crosby and just giving him a reset?
Yeah, 100%. I'd have to concern that. After watching the film of the first 2 weeks, I'm sure the offensive line coaches grade him, and I'm sure everybody in the building wanted to draft him. They drafted him in the first round. They want to try to make it work, but at some point, Andrew Wiley played pretty good last year at right tackle, I thought. And they went to the NFC Championship game, for God's sakes, with him at right tackle. So I would not hesitate to put him in there at right tackle, let Conerly be the backup swing tackle for a few weeks and see what happens, and just give him time to get better.
He's allowed an NFL high 11 pressures through 2 games, by the way, Jay. 9 in the last game.
That's probably being generous. There's been others where the defensive end is right in Jayden's face where he can't throw too. So, it's tough, man. It's a tough position. He's played against very good defenses. We'll give him that, but that's too many. And then you're playing against Maxx Crosby. We got to get Wiley out there. You got to get more experience this week and get him ready for maybe mid-season run because tackles get injured. I know that firsthand. So he's going to have to be used quite often as the season goes on. Just not yet.
Jay, how would you handle that Thursday into then this sort of it's not a bye week, but it's a little bit of a break into this next game? Rough one for everybody Thursday. We got a bunch of injuries sort of piling up here. How would you handle kind of that mini break and then sort of getting after it almost like do you burn the film or how do you view that and how would you handle that as a coach getting ready for this next one?
No, I think you have a lot of time to really self-scout and see what you've been doing good, bad in the first 2 weeks, especially up front. We got to figure this thing out up front. We got to figure out how we're blocking on these double teams and these pulling plays and all that stuff and the back blocks and the pass protections, the running backs stepping up in holes. A couple times I saw the running backs cut linebackers in the hole and the linebackers jumping over and almost killing Jayden. I mean, you can't cut a linebacker in a hole on a blitz. It drives me nuts. So they got to fix a lot of things from a technique standpoint. And then schematically, Cliff's got to come up with some things to get some guys open, especially on third down. Can't just run hitches out there and slant it to Lane, who's not a big receiver, and expect Jayden to find completion. So they got to find good matchups offensively, fix their protection, their running game combinations, and they'll be fine. I mean, it takes some time. They had a short week. They only had 3 days to get ready for one of the best defenses in football, so we'll give them a pass on that one. But now they have an extra time to get their team ready to play a pretty tough Raider team who's going to come off a short week a little bit.
Jay, we had a caller about 20 minutes ago asking about Terry McLaurin's slow start and if it's relevant that he didn't participate for a month leading up to the season. And while it'd be easy to say yes, I mean, he is, through 2 games, been more productive than he was in the first 2 games last year. So the slow start thing for him is not necessarily new. But what are you seeing when you watch him?
Well, we had the same discussion last year. Everybody's ready to give up on the guy, and he came on like gangbusters and made huge play after huge play. So I think it's a matter of, trying to get him some matchups that he can win instead of leaving him on the same side of the field all the time and some formations to get him some relief from time to time. That'll help a lot, and I think Cliff did that last year. Got him some screens, got him some balls out in space where he can catch and run, and then, take some shots with them. Everybody's well aware that Terry McLaurin can run by us, so they're giving him some cushion, and on 3rd and 5, they're sitting on him a little bit, so we got to find the happy medium to try to get him the ball somehow, and then Debo's got to make some plays, and the 3rd, 4th, or 5th receiver, I don't know who that is right now. I'm not a big Luke McCaffrey, Noah Brown guy. He had 4 or 5 targets and had 1 catch. Lane is not quite ready yet, so they got to find that other weapon as well to go along with those 2 guys, especially at the receiver position.
How much will they miss Austin Eckler?
They'll miss him. They're going to put a lot on this rookie's plate. And Rodriguez got to get back in there. I think they need Rodriguez in there a little bit more for the in between the tackle tough yardage. I'm not sure Crosby Merritt's ready for that pounding in there. I think they need to do it by committee. And those 2 or 3 backs that they have right now, I think they can manage it. I don't anticipate one guy doing it, but Eckler's missed, especially with what he does in the passing game. I don't know who that's going to be in the passing game to take over for Eckler.
Maybe McNichols got the shot to do it last year. They also signed Chase Edmonds, who was with Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona, so maybe he gets an opportunity. Flipping to the defensive side of the ball, Jay Gruden is with us, weekly Monday appointment after Commanders games, after watching all the tape, to break it down with us on Grant and Danny. Jay, Marshawn Lattimore had a rough go of it. I thought week one was a lot better than what last year looked like, but he did get penalized 3 times in that game. Another couple of penalties in this game already, now 5 on the season, 4 that were accepted. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, I thought the defense in general struggled a little bit, without a doubt. I think Strobe missed a couple things. I think Harris missed a few things. The touchdown pass to the tight end, I think that was Harris. He had to get back there with the tight end. It's a combination. The interior defensive lineman didn't do very good against Josh Jacobs in that running game. They pushed him around quite a bit. So there's a lot of issues to be had. I don't think defensively you could say, well, it was all on Marshawn Lattimore, it was all on the secondary, it was all on the defensive line. It was a combination. Sometimes the defensive line played good in their gaps, and sometimes the DBs didn't play well or tackle well. So a lot of issues right now they got to fix up. They got to fix up and get the right combinations out there. They got to gel together as a unit and not try to, mix and match too many personnel changes out there. Sometimes I don't even know who's out there at safety. So they got to find the right guys and just play harder, play better, tackle better. Quit giving up the 95-yard drives. Green Bay had 2 of them.
Yeah, Jay, it feels like, just thinking of a couple samples, that Matt LaFleur has gotten the better of Dan Quinn and his defenses over the years. Did you have anybody like that where, just for whatever reason, scheme, design, et cetera, you just had their number?
I would like to play against the Ryan brothers anytime. When there was a place we gutted them, and when I was at Cincinnati, we got Rex pretty good when he was with the Jets, but I just had success with them for some reason. They're great defensive coaches, that's for sure, but yeah, no, I just a lot of it's personnel related, really. You want to get after the corners and the secondary and the way they're playing their coverages. You have coverage beaters for that, but you got to be able to protect them. That's the issue right now with Washington. I think Cliff knows how to get after defenses, but right now they're not doing a good enough job of protecting Jayden to try to get second and third level type throws behind the defense.
John Bates has become such an important player for them, and I'll tip my cap to you on this. A few years ago, when you were coming on with us, you were basically crushing the fact that they just didn't have any tight ends that could block. And he's come on after they drafted him like gangbusters to take that role. He's become really good. He's got a hurt groin. We don't know about his availability this weekend yet. But, man, did they struggle when they couldn't keep him in because he wasn't in the game to help out Conerly. Like, if he's not out there, how different will things look for them? And how, if you don't have that blocking tight end, how much could that change how you call things if you're Cliff?
It changes a lot. You got to have help out there, and maybe it's going to be Ben. I guess it'll have to be Ben. But somebody's got to get out there and help him out. Zach's going to have to step up and put his chin strap on and his mouthpiece in this game. He's got to have to be more physical and help out Conerly. And maybe they use Conerly as the extra tackle like Detroit has done, like a lot of teams have done. They play Wiley and then play Conerly as the extra tackle to try to get more beef up there, especially on the right side, on Maxx Crosby's side. There are certain things you can do to try to negate Maxx Crosby. It's easier said than done, but they're going to have to do something creative to help the right tackle, whoever it is.
Let me go flip side, a little more positive here, Jay. Are there any players that you've gone, man, I'm actually pretty impressed with that guy through just a couple of games here?
With the Commanders right now?
Yeah, with Washington, yeah.
Not really. Not on offense really right now. Nobody that is unexpected. Jayden and Debo, and you're expecting Terry to have some big plays. Nothing's really happened offensively, exciting-wise. I guess Crosby Merritt has done some pretty good things at running back, who I really didn't know a whole lot about. He's been impressive a little bit, but the left side of the line hasn't been very good. Center's been excellent still. Right side of the line's been average. Tight end play hasn't really been very existent. Zach Ertz had a couple hits, but he's got to get some more juice and some big playability. Hopefully Terry McLaurin can do that, and some more creativity on offense, and I think they'll be fine.
Circle back to Jayden Daniels real quick with Jay Gruden, then we'll hit a couple NFL things before we let you go. On Jayden, what would he have to do on the practice field for you to give him a go? You mentioned like wanting to see him sprint, as the thing you actually want to see with your eyes.
Yeah, change of direction. His change of direction is so unique and unbelievably effective. His ability to make people miss in the pocket, outside the pocket. So I want to see him change direction, really. Maybe have him do a short shuttle like a whole combine. I want to see you change direction, man. I got to make sure you can stick your foot in the ground and let it rip. That's one. Number two, I got to see you step up in the pocket. And three, I got to see you avoid contact to get outside the pocket, move side to side. That's what you got to see a quarterback do.
Could you play him if he was just like limited Friday with nothing else? Like no, never
I
a full
could,
practice.
depending on how much I felt good about Marcus Mariota. If I felt good about Mariota taking over, which he played pretty well when he played last year, maybe I count on Marcus. But if Jayden can sit back there and throw the ball 7-on-7, do some things in the play action game, and still hand the ball off from under center, do some things, then he, it's up to Jayden and the trainers for me. I would always leave it up to the quarterback, number one, and then number two, the trainers. And if they both gave me the thumbs up, then I'm going to play him. If not, then I'm not going to make a decision to sit him because I'm worried about him getting hurt when the trainers tell me he's okay and the quarterback tells me he's okay. So it's up to the quarterback and it's up to the trainers for me.